Invasion. Damage report.
From its ancient beginnings, tarot has been a useful tool for the sensitive seekers of the world, for the brave among us willing to look deeper, to ask questions about what cannot be seen. But the expedition into the unknown can have webs of minor madness. It's easy to get lost in the answers we seek, and suddenly the tools can become the guides. Welcome to Tarot Noia, a special limited series about navigating the wonders and dangers of online tarot.
Well, again, for me anyway, if you were asking me, well, Garrett, what did you pick? How did you pick to watch? Normally it was the headers. They're coming back. And I would just jump right to it. They're thinking of you, all that stuff. And then I would go, because I'm a Leo. So it would always be the first thing I would go for is my sign. Then I would go for that title heading. They're coming back. You're right about everything, whatever. And that was my jumping start off point. I was like, I know this one's for me because I like the way that header read. Oh my gosh, they're coming back. You're darn right they are. That's what she said or he said.
I knew it, right?
Well, and it's like, I'm so glad Saturday afternoon they're coming back. But Monday, I hope that next reading, they're still going to come
back. Are they still coming back? Maybe they meant next Saturday.
I don't know. But yeah, so I read it by posted by my signs and stuff like that. And
I was going to I remembered my train of thought with the Dark Night of the Soul. Mm-hmm. Before I started up my YouTube channel, I talked to probably 100 or so people on various platforms about what drew them to online tarot in the first place. Because the majority of people I found who end up tuning into online tarot haven't had much experience with it in the past. It's not like they were readers or have their own reader or something. So usually what I found is that it is a quote unquote twin flame experience or heart chakra awakening that ends up leading people to the dark night of the soul and to online tarot. Now, the unfortunate part, let's just say, is that a lot of times these general readings are going to tell you about your other person, but what they're not necessarily picking up on is the real reason for your dark night of the soul and the real reason you were brought to tarot. And when you talk about those physical symptoms you were experiencing, the obsessiveness, even physical sickness, right?
Yeah.
That's a heart chakra expansion. That is ascension sickness that's occurring there. And the more we pin that onto an external source, like a reader or another person, the longer that sustains for, because the whole intent, obviously, is to get you to pay attention to what your heart is calling out for. Not who, but what.
So, yeah. And again, and like you always say, the point is you have to start taking personal responsibility for your own feelings, to where we projected, or I projected that onto the reader.
Yeah, so the reader or your other person may have no freaking idea what's happening inside of you. That's all you, right?
This person didn't even know my thought at all. You're just sitting back in la la land. And some person across the world or the country is telling you how that person is feeling for you. And I'm believing every cent of it. And I'm buying like the extendeds.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, hundreds and hundreds of dollars for that extended. And do I rent it? It's $2 cheaper if I rent it, but I only get 3 days to digest it. But if I buy it, it's always there and I could always go something. It was like I was holding on to the relationship from a reading.
Yeah. And that can build a powerlessness. That can build a codependency on a reader or on tarot in general, right? Because you're relying on that to set your mood.
And I wonder about that with readers, if they get that energy of codependency from all the people that wait for that reading. That must be pretty heavy for them. I've never had that many people watch me, obviously, That's why I talk about it. Else I'd be doing readings and everybody be 200,000 people would be waiting for it right now. And you and I wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd be posting that thing and hoping they're going to get that darn extended. Cause
Well,
I,
I've definitely experienced codependency as a reader, both in I call it real life, but in daily life and with my online tarot reading. Because even if you have as little as 25 people watching you, there's probably going to be two or three people in that group that are going to dial right into you energetically. Those are the cards you're going to pick up on the most. That's the storyline you're going to see the most in your cards. And that's the energy as a reader that you're going to feel the most as well, because it's intense, it's up front, it's right there with you. Those are who are more passive in their viewing or less intense in the process with you, their energy tends to move a bit to the background in the readings. So we as readers online especially tend to pick up on the most dramatic, intense story of our viewer. There's like layers of energy that you pick up on, right?
well, it is our job to tell the story. And, I love telling stories. I write stories. But the point is, when we get the Four of Swords, the Hierophant, we have to then put together a story. I go intuitively. So the first thing I pick up, I just, boom, I say it. And you've seen it and it's proven I'm normally right. Bam.
That's true.
That's what. And then it's even clarified by the end of the thing. Everything makes sense, but that's just how it is. Um, but I also felt codependency both ways too. I felt codependent on the people that watched me because my value as a reader, especially on YouTube, I got value from people that watched it. And when they didn't, I felt worse. I felt like, oh my gosh, I suck. I suck at life. I suck at reading.
Yeah.
So I've become codependent on YouTube. The joys of likes and the joys of subscriptions. And again, that's why I closed my channel
Mm-hmm.
because it was very unhealthy for me. But I quit at what 300. I think that my highest, I think it was 367. And some people are meant to do the YouTube read thing. I'm not, because I really held my hat on it, especially my value, my personal value.
Mm-hmm.
And you know me, if I make up my mind, just one button, doom, I'm out of that. That's
Yeah.
that's I do not want to wade in that dirty water.
Well, if you're feeling, you're a very intuitive person, we as readers rely on our intuition in more ways than one. And if intuitively you're getting the feeling that this just isn't a healthy expression for your help, then it isn't. Plain and simple, right?
I know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, why did I start reading? Well, I've been reading since I was a teenager anyway, but I didn't want to get professional about it till later on in life. And obviously, I'm not a professional reader because I don't make a full-time living from it. I know you get some money here and there. Then that also becomes the question.
Mm-hmm.
If you really truly love reading and you think it's a gift to the collective, should you charge? And how much? And that's a
That's an
whole.
interesting, sorry.
No, no, you go. That's an interesting.
That's an interesting point, and it does come up a lot with those of us who work in the spiritual community, as well as people who work in the creative fields, right? If you're writing a song to share with people, why do you want them to buy it? Why release an album? Just give it to them. Just go stand on the street corner and sing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And same with the helping profession. Well, we could say, why would a tarot reader get paid money to help me? Well, why does a doctor? Why does a therapist? Why does anyone? Because it takes time. If we're out there working a grind at a daily job, which there's absolutely, I do that and I read at night, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But it seriously limits the amount of work you can put into your tarot work and into helping people. So basically, it's kind of like, why should you get paid? Because that's how you can actually practice what you do. Otherwise, you can't be offering it to people. You won't have time.
Well, just like in a doctor, tarot is a practice, yoga is a practice. And so it is a practice. And I am a firm believer that everybody is worthy of a wage. if it has value to you. Even a waiter or a waitress or a server, to be politically correct, if they get done providing me a wonderful service and made my dining experience, I wanted to share that joy with them through a monetary exchange,
Yeah.
that they can then share their joy through another monetary exchange.
And in particular, when we're talking about tarot online, monetary is important because, of course, we need to make a living or we cannot keep providing what we do. So, yeah, that's important. But in the spiritual world, any kind of energetic exchange on an equal level is essential to the process. So if you're watching general tarot readings online and you're just clicking from one to the next, and if you find you get something out of that reading or you keep going back to that same reader because you like the way they read, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up. Even that is an energetic exchange. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're just flipping from channel to channel and not putting any of your own energy into the process, then it's probably not going to be that effective for you because you're not engaging. There's no back and forth, right?
I always hit like. I love to leave comments because I understand. I
Yeah.
used to leave comments on your channel till you said,
Yes, you did.
hey creeper, stop stalking me." I remember
Quit
that day.
creeping.
Yeah, quit creeping. And no,
No,
I'm not. No, I'm not
but
going to
it's
do a
very
free
valid.
reading.
I mean, even if you watch a reading and there's things about it you didn't resonate with, even saying that, of course, in a very polite fashion is important. Any kind of engagement on a respectful level is important. So you could
Well,
say, "Oh, I just watched your Cancerian read. I'm a Cancer. The beginning part resonated with me, and his sign is this, and that was right. But the last part didn't really resonate with me." That's important for readers to know. We love getting that kind of info.
so
W-
you like hearing, because to me, it's like, well, if it didn't resonate, again, we're sending stuff out in space. It's not going to
Mhm.
resonate with everybody. So someone telling me it didn't resonate with them, to me, is kind of like, well, I take it differently. I'm like, well, tough shit. You know, that's how
Well,
it.
sure, because any entire reading is probably not gonna resonate with you in its entirety.
Well, it's
Because
like,
again, if it does, it's not a general reading, that's your reading.
well, that's what I mean. These are generals, and to tell me that you took the time to tell me that, it's like, then why don't you pay me for a personal reads? Because that, you can do that. But I'm sorry you didn't enjoy your free reading that I took time. It's just
Yeah,
that was one of the things that I always got upset about, was this is free,
yeah,
free. I Everybody on a Saturday night, they're out at the bars going to dinner. I'm sitting there pulling cards for free for
mhm.
YouTube. So I might help somebody.
There's a rat under my bed, and there's a little green man in my head. And said you're not going crazy, you're just a bit sad, 'cause there's a man in you, gnawing you, tearing you into the city.